Welcome to Spicy Toast Gaming and our release guide for Path of Champions. If you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe, and let's get into it. First, we're going to start off with a brief overview of the champion, discussing their general playstyle, so you have a better understanding of the champion, and if you want to invest your time and resources into them. First up, we have Swarm playstyle. You're often going to be attacking with a full board and replacing your units regularly. Up next, we have Aggressive. Elise is able to put a large amount of pressure on the enemy from the very start of the game, and when you get to a higher level, you can often straight up end games in the first 2 to 3 rounds. Next up, we have Control. Despite being an aggro deck, Elise has a surprising amount of control throughout the game, with a pairing of several stuns and strong removal. Next, we have Fearsome. Normally, Fearsome's not that useful of a keyword, as the opponent will often have 1 or 2 units that have a high enough attack to be able to block your units, but when you're attacking with a full board of Fearsome units, it actually does have some good utility. On to Better Lurk. Elise's star powers essentially give her a modified and often better form of the Lurk mechanic, which you can see in other decks like Pike. We'll go into more detail after this overview, but if you like the Lurk mechanic, you may love this deck. Last up, we have Very Versatile. Elise can work with a large variety of builds and playstyles, so you can often find one that works best for you. Alright, that's it for the overview. Let's hop in game to better explain some of the points we touched on here. In game now, you see we have Elise up to level 30 and 3 stars. Elise herself is a 2-cost fearsome unit with 2/3, and the attack effect of attack, summon a attacking spiderling, which will be very important to your kit. You see that here. Baseline is a 1-cost 1/1. So when she attacks, she summons that spiderling. Now, round start, level up if you have 3 other spiders. Now, this isn't necessarily 3 other spiderlings, just 3 other spiders. As you can see here at the top, every card that's technically a spider will have this label at the top of its card, so you can know whether or not it's a spider. Now, you might not actually want to level up Elise in some situations. When she levels up, she goes to a 4/3 and also gets Challenger. And now other spiders have Challenger and Fearsome. While that can be nice, you no longer get the attacking effect of attack, summon a spiderling. Quite often you want to be refilling your board. While this is a strong effect, you might not actually want to level her up that often. For her champion spell, 1-cost slow crawling sensation. If an ally died this round, summon 2 spiderlings. Really great for refilling your board and focusing on that swarm playstyle. Alright, let's take a look at the star powers. So for your 1-star, it is when allies attack, grant allied spiderlings everywhere 1 power. So this gives you that sort of improved lurk mechanic. Every time you attack, not just once per round, you're going to be granting your spiderlings 1 power, but it's only your spiderlings. So it's not going to affect all your units, just this 1 card. But you don't need to worry about what card is on the top of your deck, or only getting this effect off once per round. Just every single time you attack, as long as you're attacking, you're going to get this scaling buff. So that is the sort of improved lurk mechanic we were talking about. So that is the 1-star version. If you get to the 3-star, you get the second effect here and the positive keywords of allied champions. If you have a champion that's on the board, when you attack, all of your spiderlings everywhere, so even ones you haven't summoned yet, are going to be granted that keywords. So the champion doesn't actually need to attack themselves, but they do have to be on the board for your spiderlings to be granted that. Once your spiderlings have been granted that buff, doesn't matter if the champion dies or anything like that, because the spiderlings now have that permanent buff for the rest of the match. Very strong effect, but it is something you do need to intentionally build around. Next up for your 2-star, Caught in the Webs, +1 starting mana. Round end, if an ally died this round, summon a spiderling. So again, another star power that works very well with focusing on your spiderlings, and this also helps your swarm playstyle. You're fine with units dying since you know you're at least going to summon 1 spiderling every round. Alright, taking a look at the starting deck now. First up, we have the Shadow Isle Tellstones. These get reduced down with that mana potion. This is a wonderful card. You normally want to hold on to it if you get it in your opening hand. This gives you a great amount of control and versatility. So create a fleeting Mark of the Isles, Spirit Journey, or Crumble in hand. So you play this, and then you get the option to choose one of these 3 cards. So Mark of the Isles, grant an ally 2/2 and Ephemeral. So Ephemeral meaning this unit dies when it strikes or when the round ends. So this is a great way to buff up your units, normally to finish down the enemy nexus, or to be able to finish off an enemy opponent. Spirit Journey, kill a unit, then revive it. A lot of great utility here. You can either use this to save your own units, or to like stop an enemy attack. Very versatile card. Then Crumble, kill an ally to kill a unit or destroy a landmark. You're fine with one of your own units dying, as you know you're going to summon a Spiderling at the end of the round. And this is just flat out kill a unit, so even if they have like barrier or they have tons of health, it doesn't matter, it will kill them. So this is a really great card to have. Even though Elise doesn't have too many spells in her deck, this really gives you that versatility to have the spell you need when you need it. Next up, we have Spiderling. So 1 cost 1/1. As you see, there's no gem down here. This means that normally this isn't a card you can have in your deck. It's just one that can get summoned through effects. But since this is Path of Champions, we don't necessarily have the normal deck building restraints as the other version of the game. Having this in your starter deck is wonderful. Because as you see, one, it starts off with Chain Vest, so it has tough, good amount of survivability there. But also, you can now get items for this in shops or rewards for completing adventures. So sometimes you can get some crazy buffs on your Spiderlings. Like one buff that I was able to get was the Radiant Plate Armor. So it costs 1 more, but it gets an additional 3/3 in stats. Normally you're just summoning this from your star powers or from Elise, so the extra cost didn't matter, and yet they were way more powerful. So having this in your deck is quite a big deal. We have Elise for the 2 cost. Spellslinger, as you can see, this is still a spider. You go to 3/3 with that Phage. Play, stun an enemy, or if it's already stunned, deal 2 damage to it instead. You're normally only going to be using this for that stun, really helping you control the board. Arachnoid Sentry, 3/2 with Entrancing Lure, so strike, draw 1, giving you a decent amount of draw. But again, normally you're just going to be using this card to stun the strongest enemy, and only just to either not have to worry about the enemy blocking, or to keep a strong unit from being able to attack and destroy your Nexus. Next up, we have Frenzied Skitterer. So when I'm summoned, give other spider allies 1 power, and enemies -1 power this round. And it's a 3 cost 3/2. With that Spirit Stone, so if you have the mana, when you play it, it's going to create a fleeting copy in hand, so you can play another one. Great for buffing up your own units, and then reducing the power of enemies so that more of your attacks can get through with that Fearsome, potentially dropping enemies below the range where they can actually block your units. Next, we have Shrieking Spinner, a 4 cost 2/4 with Fearsome. Attack gives spider allies 2 power this round. Next up, we have Arachnoid Host, 5 cost 6/6 with that Savage Shield. And when I'm summoned, grant other spider allies 2 power. And then last up, we have Brood Awakening, 6 costs low, summon 3 spiderlings, then grant spider allies 1 power. You also get that Radiant Banner to give allies 1/1 this round. Really great card if your game's going a little bit longer. You can, again, fill out your board, buff it all up, and try to end the game. Now, you do have some fairly expensive cards here, and while that normally would be an issue, it really isn't for Elise, as you're often just summoning so many spiderlings for free that it's not like you're going to have a empty board. Normally these last half of the cards are just more utility cards that you're only playing later in the game to try to finish off the enemy. It's not like you're actually needing these for the units themselves. Normally you're still going to have a full board with Elise summoning units, your star power summoning units. I was a little worried myself when I saw how many expensive cards they had, but honestly it doesn't feel bad when you're playing in the game. You're still mostly a early game power deck, but you have some good cards to help you finish off the enemy if it does go a little bit longer. If you're wondering what card you should cut, I normally cut the Shrieking Spinner. I find it's, in general, the most useless out of all the other cards, with the worst stat line. While it's still not a terrible card, if you're looking for one of your cards to cut, this is normally my go-to. Alright, next let's take a look at Relics. So Elise is a bit of an interesting one. You really want to focus on keywords, as all of your keywords when you attack are going to be granted to your spiderlings. So they really have a lot more power than for normal champions. So your actual common relics are quite good. Again, really focusing on any keywords. Some of the best would be the Overwhelm. I really like also the Quick Attack. Fearsome doesn't really matter as much, as you're normally going to be granting your units Fearsome anyways. Spell Shield, not bad. Tough, kind of irrelevant since your spiderlings start out with tough anyways. For my go-to though, for your first common relic, I would either use Chameleon's Necklace, so you are sure to draw Elise at the start of the game, or go with the Storm Razor for a quick attack, as giving your units quick attack is quite helpful. Overwhelm is also quite good. For rare relics, there's a lot of different ones you can go with. Unfortunately for a lot of you, Gale Force I find is still the best, and it really has a lot of different things going for it in regards to Elise. So one, you're able to attack twice. Each time you attack with Elise, you're summoning a spiderling, so being able to summon more units, that's great. Also, you're granting Scout to all of your spiderlings as well, Scout being one of the strongest keywords in the game, so giving that to all your spiderlings is absolutely crazy. And then it recalls you at the end of the round, making it so you never level up, which is actually a good thing because then when you play Elise again, she can keep attacking and keep summoning those spiderlings, which when you level up, you don't get that effect anymore. So while I don't think that Gale Force is the only option, from what I've tried with so far, it is still the best option. Troll King's Crown. Honestly, there's not much of a use having Troll King's Crown over just the Crusher, but I was trying to farm games as fast as possible, and so just guaranteeing that my units have Overwhelm and Scout right at the start of the game, as well as Quick Attack, was a very powerful combo for ending games as fast as possible. So Troll King's Crown is a bit of a mixed bag. For one, there's plenty of ways for you to get Overwhelm in your games already, but if you're trying to just go for the most consistent matches, then Troll King's Crown, just making sure you have that Overwhelm, can be quite nice. Voidborn Carapace, when any unit dies, grant me its keywords. This is great for Elise if you're not going for Gale Force, as your Elise will just sit on the board. Whenever units die, they'll go on Elise, the keywords, then when you attack, she's granting all of those to your spider allies. Normally not that good by itself, so I think this would be more for a combo when you're higher level, but it is something fun to try out. Wriggle's Lantern, round end, grant me impact twice if I'm in hand, max impact 10. Now these extra stacks of impact don't immediately go onto your spiderlings, but every time you attack with that impact, you're giving all of your spiderlings one extra stack of impact, and that impact can hurt quite a lot. So while I definitely don't call this optimal at all, it can work out pretty well. I tried it once just for kind of a cheese build, and the impact was actually surprisingly strong. The Grand General's Counterplan. So again, this is great if you're going for a build of keeping Elise on the board. That's going to generate a crawling sensation every single round. Every round, if one of your units dies, you essentially can summon 3 spiderlings, 2 from this and then 1 from your star power. Really great for constantly filling out your board. The Bounty Hunter's Renown, I have 1/1 for every 200 gold you have. If you wanted just a flat stat relic, this is normally the best choice. Succubus Brand, 1/1, and when I kill a unit, summon a random husk. This actually should work out quite well with Elise, especially paired with some other star powers, or not star powers, but relics, as it's giving you some stats, and you're summoning husks, which have keywords on them, so you can keep trying to get those keywords and give them to your spiderlings. And last up for the relics that I want to highlight is the Corrupted Star Fragment. Support, kill my supported ally and grant me its stats and keywords. So this is great in multiple ways. One, you're able to put keywords onto Elise. She is then able to give those keywords to all of your spiderlings, so that's good. But then since you're killing one of your own units, you know you're going to summon a spiderling at the end of the round from your 2-star star power. And Elise also doesn't have the strongest stat line, so giving her some extra stats is really nice. If you don't have Gale Force, this is a build I would recommend that I'm planning on trying out. I'll probably do a video on this tomorrow if you want to see it in action. But pairing all these together, so Corrupted Star Fragment, kill my supported ally, grant me its stats and keywords. Succubus Brand, 1/1, and when I kill a unit, summon a random husk. And then Voidborn Carapace, when any unit dies, grant me its keywords. So you're killing one of your own units, you're getting all of its keywords and stats. Since you're killing a unit, you're summoning a husk. The way they work is that it's a 1/1 unit with a random keyword, and when you play another unit, that husk gets killed, and those stats and keywords are transferred to whatever unit you played, but the keyword is also then going to go back on Elise because of the Voidborn Carapace. So essentially you're able to build up a very strong, scary Elise that's able to kill your own units, summon more units, and then buff up all your spiderlings with all these crazy keywords you're getting. If you don't have Gale Force, this is the build I would recommend going with. And again, I'll probably be testing this out in a video tomorrow. Alright, that's it for the in-game portion of this game. Let's go look at what powers as well as support champions I recommend with Elise. Taking a look at those powers now. Up first we have Crush. Allies have Overwhelm. Always great, especially when you have a scaling deck. Really just helps you try to end games as fast as possible. Next up, Officer Backup. Game start, summon a Sting Officer. Again, always great to be able to be summoning units for free at the very start of the game. Now, normally you might not want the other 2 powers that are able to summon 2 units at the start of the game because your board might get a little too crowded, but having one elusive unit that you can just attack with right away, starting to scale up your spiderlings, really good. And then if you have your Elise with Corrupted Star Fragment, here's a unit with elusive that you can then consume and give that elusive to all of your spiderlings. Really strong there. Then Domination, Round Start Rally. Since you're trying to attack as much as possible because that scales up your spiderlings, being able to attack every single round, really good for that scaling and also ending the game again, as quickly as possible. Next up, we have welcome gifts. When you summon an ally granted a random keyword, this is just good in general, but since when you play a champion, it's going to get that random keyword, and then that will be able to get granted to all of your spiderlings as well. It has an even better effectiveness than normal for most other decks. Next up, we have Yip's Genius. When you summon a 1-cost ally, grant it 2/2. All of your spiderlings baseline are 1 cost, so this is just going to massively increase the power of all of your spiderlings. Definitely get it if you see it available. And the best defense. Allies have attack, grow my health to match my power. So one of the biggest weaknesses with your deck is that your spiderlings will have a large attack, but they will have no health, so they can die pretty easily. If you go up against any overwhelmed decks, you're probably going to get destroyed. So being able to have the best defense so that your spiderlings, they'll attack, and then their health will grow to match their power, making them quite tanky and very scary units for the enemy to have to deal with. Last up for powers, we have Wild Inspiration. Your created cards cost 1 less. So this is good in a couple ways for Elise. For one, your Tellstones, your 0-cost spell that then creates a fleeting copy of one of 3 spells. This is then going to reduce down the cost of one of those spells that gets created, so great right there. But then you also have your Frenzied Skitterer, where when you play it, it creates a fleeting copy in the hand. This is also going to reduce down that copy that's created, so good usability right there. Evolution, allies have 1/1 for each keyword. You're obviously trying to get as many keywords as possible on your units, especially your spiderlings. So much like Yip's Genius, this is going to massively increase the power of all of your units, especially your spiderlings. Then we have Sorcery, Round Start, refill your spell mana. This is really good. Even though you don't have that many spells, the spells you do have are quite powerful. So being able to play them a lot earlier in the game, because you're essentially getting 3 mana to go towards that every round, really can help you out. All right, that's it for powers. Let's go take a look at support champions. Now, support champions are quite important for Elise. I normally don't spend too much time on support champions, but here I feel it is very important. So what are some aspects of champions you might want to look for? So one, low cost. You want to be aggressive early, so a champion you can play at the start of the game is quite helpful. Also, we have strong keywords. Any champion you see that can get things like elusive, quick attack, double attack, scout, any of those strong keywords you really want to be looking for. To pair with that low cost, you can grant that to all your spiderlings as soon as possible. And next we have extra attacks. Any champion that's able to give you free attacks, rally, scout attacks, any of that will be very helpful for both ending the game, but also buffing up all of your spiderlings. For some specific champions you might want to look for, Lucian. Absolutely amazing. 1 cost with quick attack at the start of the game. Great that you're able to play him and immediately give that to all of your spiderlings. But also when he levels up, he gets double attack, which you can give to all your spiderlings. Crazy powerful. And he also has the ability to rally. Really has everything you're looking for. Next up, we have Aurelia. Again, moderately low cost, decently strong keywords with the quick attack, but then her and all of her units are able to do that free attack with the blades, which will just help scale up your units even more. And then lastly, we have Teemo. 1 cost champion, elusive, really strong to give that to all of your units. Now, there's plenty of other support champions. These are just some of the ones I wanted to highlight and some of the attributes you might want to look for when picking your support champion. All right, that's it for the Elise guide. I hope it was able to teach you a lot. If you enjoyed this video, definitely like and subscribe. We're trying to hit 10K subscribers by the end of the year. We have a very long way to go, so any help is greatly appreciated, and I hope you all have a great day.